Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Damo, and on today's video we're going to have a go at fixing the sunroof on the Porsche 944. Don't forget, if you haven't done already, please subscribe to the channel, click the little bell icon, then you get notified whenever there's a new video. Cheers. So, accessory position 1, or the first position on your key. My button is somewhat faded, but you can just work out here the up arrow. If I push that, the up arrow, that should be retracting the arms in my sunroof, and it doesn't. So that tells me something's not quite right. If I move my key to the next position, it's gone out of focus, that's sort of ignition on, as it were. And I hit the little button down here, I can straight away hear the cogs. Let's have a look what it's doing. Okay, so we're in that non-accessory position, and it's, you see, it's not stopping. It's just going all the way up, all the way down into the bodywork. So I'm having to sort of control where to stop it to keep this sunroof locked in position. Not to mention the sort of slightly out of place trim there. It's an old car, I say this a lot, but yeah. So something's going on there, either with the micro switch. I'm guessing the cogs are going to be stripped. They're behind there, so we've got brass ones to sort that out. Right, we're going to start by looking at the micro switch here first. I say here, it's behind this trim, so I'm going to rip the boot carpet out, pop these, what do you call them, trim clips off, get this carpet off, so have a look at the mechanism behind. Okay, before you set out to start fixing your sunroof, it's important to make sure that you know it's broken. So there's a few ways you can do that. The best thing to do, if you're not familiar with the 944 sunroof, there's a great guide on Clark's Garage website all about the 944 sunroof, and from this, and historically I fixed the sunroof on my previous turbo many years ago, 944 turbo. I've sort of determined what I think the problem is with this sunroof. So there's various operations that you do with the sunroof, but in the accessory position, if you push the up arrow there, the arms should retract in and sort of stay down, and then they should just stop. And what happens is there's a bit of resistance, the cogs kind of turn, the bar goes in, and there's a clutch that spots that resistance and stops turning. What happens over time is that clutch, the tension in it kind of increases, causes a problem, and the bars, the actual bars, the pegs with the little grips on, we'll see those, shred the plastic gears in there. And I think that's what's happened here, because it's just not working right. Also, then when you kind of put it back into position 1, the arms come up and sort of lock the sunroof in position, and then they kind of carry on up in the next position on the ignition, I think, and leave it popped up. That's not happening at all with mine. Well, regardless of the ignition position, the arms kind of go and then they go all the way down. So there's a micro switch. The mechanism for the sunroof is in the boot behind the carpet. I'm going to have a look at replacing that. And we've got new cogs. They're not plastic, they're brass. Specialist company online. I think I got them from eBay. I'd read that that's the sort of thing to do. So hopefully they won't ever break again. Okay, getting this carpet off, if you can, get yourself a trim removal tool. That will protect whichever one of these you've got left. I've actually replaced some of these, admittedly black ones, they're not Porsche ones. Down here by the battery there's a Phillips screwdriver there holding that on. I think that should be most of the clips and the screw there. Should get this carpet out, hopefully. It should be enough. Okay, to get to the motor mechanism and all the gubbins, you've got to take this plastic trim off. A little Phillips screw. There's one up there, and there's one there, one there, one there. One of mine was missing, so 3 along the top and 1 there, and then that plastic trim will just come away. Okay, so once your plastic cover is off, you've got 10 mil nuts, 1 down there one there, one there. Pop those off. This whole mechanism will just come away. You don't want to pull it completely away because you want the wire still attached, but it will give you a chance to look at the cam behind and check the position of it. Pop the plastic cap off here as well. This will allow you to get access to the motor and make the adjustments to the clutch and turn it as well. Okay, so once you've taken this panel off, there's 6 or 8 screws Phillips holding this panel on, and it just slides off. You can pop the cover of the sunroof arm cogs off. There's about 5 Phillips screws on there, and you can see your sunroof cog in there, and if you look at it you can see it's plastic and the teeth have just been rinsed, so that was causing us all sorts of problems with the position of the arm. It's never going to quite know because it's only moving at certain points when it probably shouldn't be, so it's therefore giving the clutch mechanism a bit of an odd signal because it's sort of going, yeah, you're locked, but it's actually technically not in that correct position. So yeah, they need to be replaced. That's why we've got the brass ones. There you go. You can easily see how the plastic ones just get really screwed up. Once you've taken the covering off, if you just pull that down, it should just fall out. So yeah, these get chewed by the metal sunroof arms, and actually there was actually plastic bits in here. This is metal as well, so hopefully this will sort it out. Okay, so a few days have passed and we were struggling a bit with the sunroof mechanism. Let's explain a bit more about how it works. It's easier when you're trying to sort it out. If your cogs have been stripped, it's generally because the clutch in the motor that retracts the arms through a wire. This is the motor, the wire sort of goes down underneath there. It snags and it doesn't sort of disengage, and it pulls the it rubs the plastic cogs against the sort of arms and strips them. So it's a good idea to pop the whole mechanism off. There's 3 bolts that attach it on, and we can have a look under here. And what you have here, this is a cam. People explain this in videos, but I've never quite understood it. There's a great guide online which I'll link to down below, which will cover this in a bit more detail. This is the sort of spiral wire. This is what, if you go right up to the sunroof, turns the cogs. This rotates, turns the little cogs, which then turns the arms. It has various positions and various micro switches, 2 here and 1 down here, which click in and out. So what you have to do, basically, if your cogs have been stripped, is loosen off that clutch. You need to get it, you need to position this whole arm, and it has sort of a metal bit there that stops it in this position. So you can do that. If you look around the other side, I think it's a 21mm. It's a bit dark. Let's see if we can get this out of it. Here, this is our motor mechanism. You need a 21mm. Sorry, it's a bit dark. Spanner on there to turn that. The big nut turns it. It just turns the motor. So you turn that to get it all the way into this position. What you don't want is any loose cable or wire here. Really, really, really important. And then what you can do is with your sunroof cogs disattached, taken out, what we did was we took the encasings out, we replaced them with the brass ones. You've got this set up in this position, that's point number 1. Then what you need to do is get the sunroof arms in their lowest position, or get one in their lowest position. Don't bolt everything up yet. In fact, we'll show you that now. Okay, so we've got new brass sunroof arm cog, and the sunroof is in the lowest position. So this is in the removal position. So normally the sunroof, you have to assume, is in this position when you want to take the whole thing out. So what you've got to assume what's happened here is the ignition has gone to accessory. That's the first turn. No lights on the dashboard. Accessory. 1 turn. You are able to press, this is what should happen, the up arrow on the sunroof button on the center console, and it will retract the arms into this position. Now this is where the problems start, because what happens is people keep hitting that button. The clutch on the motor doesn't kind of engage and stop this from going in. This keeps turning, the plastic cogs keep trying to turn on here, and they end up getting stripped. That's the problem that you've got. What you need to do, this is where it gets fun, get everything set up in this position, adjust the motor arm down as we've said, and then you have to adjust the clutch. How do you adjust the clutch? So here, this is the big nut. This turns the motor only. This nut here adjusts the clutch. If you slacken this off, well, okay, take a step back. First of all, there'll be a lock nut on here to hold it in place. We're going to put ours back on in a second. Get that off. That is not that easy to do, first of all. What it's a good idea to do, if you've got a flat or thin set of spanners, you can kind of hold this and then turn this. What we actually used was a oxygen sensor removal tool, this thing, to hold that big nut, and then we put through, as you can see here in the setup, we put through a wrench with the correct adjustment on there. It is, what is it? I thought it was 13. Yeah, it's 13. So we held the big nut with that, and then we loosened off the locking nut here using this arm. It wasn't, I'll be honest, it wasn't that easy. Ours was pretty stuck on. Once we'd done that, then you're kind of in a great position of being able to adjust this. And then what you need to do is go round, move your key to the accessory position, and push it as if you're retracting those arms. Now you've got the brass ones, you're in a bit of a safer position. You're not going to sort of strip those cogs. It's really dodgy, this, because if you've got new plastic ones, it's dead easy to strip them. So you loosen this off, and what should happen is, when you hit that, you'll hear the motor whir, and it should just stop, okay? So you untighten that to loosen it. Generally, these are on too tight. But you don't want to do it too loose, that then when you move the key to accessory position, the next switch on, point on the ignition, that it doesn't kind of pull the arms out at all. So it's a real knack to get that kind of just right. And then once you've got it right, we believe ours is set right, you can bolt up the sunroof arms and cogs bit and put the lock nut on, and that should be it. Bolt everything together. Another point of note, let's just go back to here. There's lots of diagrams online, but when you actually see this in action, so remember at this cog position here, this is with the sunroof arms retracted. When this moves here, these little micro switches get clicked when they're released from here. That is the sunroof in the arms are just up enough to keep the sunroof locked into the body flush. Okay, when the arms extend, that cog keeps going round down to here. This arm, you see here, clicks this micro switch, and that's when the arms are fully retracted and your sunroof is sort of tilted up. That's what should happen. Know that if you've popped your sunroof out to do this job, when this cog gets to here and you're kind of in ignition position 1 and you want to move it to make sure the arms still raise up, if your sunroof is out, what you need to do is trick the car into thinking that the sunroof is still in, because there's a little micro switch in here. So you'll know when you've popped your sunroof out, you've got that kind of front arm bit in here which tells this micro switch that the sunroof's in, so that it knows to move those arms in and out, because if you've not got it in, why would you want to move the arms in and out? They're just going to stick. So for the purposes of this, I've tricked it with a soft clamp, and I'm able to sort of do what I need to do, basically, and that is it. So years since I've done this. Did it on my old 944 Turbo way back when, 2008 time, and I'd sort of forgotten about it completely, and arguably it is a bit fiddly, but with the brass cogs, adjusting the clutch, as I've mentioned, screwing it all back together, that should, fingers crossed, be enough. Right, we're going to attempt to give a demonstration of how the sunroof mechanism should work. We've replaced the cog in this side, we haven't done the other side yet. Interestingly, these covers, you can see here, there are 5 screws hiding the arm. We can just see the retracting arm there, and the cog in there, which we've replaced with a brass one. Right, so ignition is off, sunroof arms are retracted. Now normally this wouldn't be the position that you would leave your car, because obviously you could push the roof up and it would kind of pop out there. You don't want that. But obviously we're in the process of configuring it. So we have tricked the car into thinking, using this micro switch, thinking that the sunroof is still in and attached. So interestingly, once you have retracted, just FYI, your arms into the body, the only way of extending them officially, assuming you've got everything configured properly, is by moving the ignition switch to the second position. So we're going to do that now. So 5, 1, 2. Okay, lights on the dash. There's our sunroof button here. And what's going to happen is we're going to push the sunroof button. The arms are extending all the way up and they stop. This is in the sunroof tilt position. We are in ignition position 2, so we've clicked the ignition 2. Okay, we should hit the other side of the sunroof switch and it will go down. The arms will stop there. There, that's what you want. Can you see? They're in a position where, I can focus on that, they're in a position where the sunroof is grabbed. Okay, that's what you want. That is spot on. Right, the sunroof arms will now only retract into the body, which sort of makes sense if you think about it, because you don't want to be driving along and retract the arms in and the sunroof fly out, when the ignition position is back to its first position. I think we call it accessory. So I go back one on the ignition, the lights go out on the dash, hit the button on the dash, hit the button on the center console, first one, arms go back in, clutch is engaging, hopefully we've loosened it, stopping that cog from continuing to spin. It doesn't anyway because it's brass, but if it was plastic, and then making a right mess of it. There you go. So we've just got to replace the cog in the other side, which we haven't done yet, and then we should be good to go. So we're just going to finish off in here. We're going to pop our little lock nut on there and then bolt this back into place. I mentioned this before, there's 3 bolts holding this in. I actually thought, you can see the micro switches here, originally that the problem was micro switch related. Apparently I only got 1 anyway, and there's 3 here and 1 up top, so there's my new one down there. They're pretty reliable, so if you have got a problem with your sunroof, odds on it's clutch motor related. So they sort of, I mentioned this earlier, they sort of tighten over time, which is a bit annoying. Yeah, and what happens is it doesn't sort of kick in when you're lowering those arms, and the cogs get, the plastic cogs anyway, get stripped. So a bit of a design flaw really, Porsche. There you go. But yeah, the micro switches are generally okay. So finally, we fixed the sunroof, and we're able to, with the little arms, retract them and pop the whole thing out, pop it back in. Hopefully those arms will secure it in place. Great job. Finally done it before. It takes a lot of time and effort, but once it's done, assuming all the trim and bits and pieces and other things are with micro switches and what have you with your sunroof are okay, it's well worth doing, and it's going to be interesting or fun to actually just get out and drive it without the roofing. One of the great benefits of having the 944. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching this pedal live video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you haven't done, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell icon, then you get notified whenever we do another video. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.